Imagine tucking your 3-year-old into bed, kissing her forehead, and stepping out for dinner, just 50 yards away. You glance back, certain you'll see her in minutes. But when you return, her bed is empty. The toy is untouched. The blanket is still warm. That was May 3rd, 2007. The child was Madeleine McCann. 18 years later, the world still asks, where is she? This isn't just another true crime documentary. This is the most famous unsolved mystery of modern times. Theories abound: abduction, accident, conspiracy, but none survive scrutiny. In 2025, new searches raise hope. The suspect walks under restrictions. Families wait, journalists circle, and the silence grows louder. Every clue, the shutters, the timelines, the dogs, pulls in a different direction. The police investigation stretches across Portugal, the UK, and Germany, but answers keep dissolving. Forensic evidence that should have anchored the case whispers instead of shouting. This episode is not about retelling myths. It's about examining what survives in 2025. The facts, the contradictions, the leads, and the absence that refuses to disappear. But what if the real story is not in what we know, but in the things that refuse to add up? Dinner at the tapas restaurant seemed harmless. Parents took turns checking the children every 30 minutes. At 10 p.m., Kate McCann entered the apartment. The window was open, the shutters raised. Madeleine McCann was gone. Chaos followed. Neighbors searching, police summoned, sketches drawn of a man carrying a child through the night. Witnesses disagreed. Some details solidified, others shattered. The missing persons case ballooned instantly, but the trail cooled almost as fast as it had heated. Forensics promised certainty, but fingerprints were inconclusive. DNA lacked thresholds, and CCTV was absent. The shutters, forced or not, conflicting. The dogs, alerting but unconfirmed. The phone, pinged near Praia de Luz, but a circle, not a pin. From the start, contradictions drowned clarity. Investigators expected clues to lead forward. Instead, every step bred doubt. The police investigation didn't just chase leads, it fought against time itself. The cliff wasn't Madeleine's disappearance, it was what came after. A case built on sand, where each clue contradicted the last. But who could have moved so silently, so completely through that narrow window of time? Beyond the theories lies the family. Kate and Jerry McCann lit candles for their missing daughter every May. The twins grew in the shadow of absence. Madeleine McCann remained frozen at 3 years old in the public imagination. What the world consumed as true crime, the family lived as torment. Every news alert was thunder in their kitchen. Every accusation was a scar. For years, the police investigation turned in circles, sometimes treating them as suspects, sometimes as grieving parents, but always leaving them stranded in limbo. This is why the case refuses to fade. It isn't just an unsolved mystery. It is a human wound that has never closed. And in 2025, each new search and headline reopens it. Public sympathy waxes and wanes. Their grief never does. The emotional anchor of this story is Madeleine herself. She is not a theory. She is a missing child. Remembering this stops us from letting speculation eclipse humanity. But empathy wasn't enough. Soon investigators would stumble on a clue that reignited suspicion, splitting the story wide open. Investigators turned to a suspect, Christian Brückner. A convicted predator, he lived in the Algarve when Madeleine vanished. His phone pinged near Praia da Luz that night. In June 2025, German and Portuguese teams searched scrubland again. Dogs, radar, excavators covered the ground. Nothing conclusive emerged. In September, Brückner was released from prison, restricted by monitors, unable to travel, still under suspicion. Germany labels it murder. The UK holds to missing. The contradiction is stark. If evidence is strong, why not charge? If weak, why restraints? The police investigation balances suspicion and proof like fire on ice. What they uncovered next didn't clarify. It deepened the fog. Timelines blurred. Check-ins misremembered by minutes, enough to create or erase opportunity. The shutters, forced or intact. Reports contradicted. Cadaver dogs alerted, but labs couldn't confirm. Witnesses disagreed. Sketches overlapped. Sightings evaporated. The police investigation stretched across 3 countries. Operation Grange still worked in the UK, lean but alive. German prosecutors swore it was murder. Britain insisted Madeleine McCann was still missing. Forensic evidence failed to anchor. Theories multiplied. Each explained some facts, but none explained all. This was the lock-in. A case too fractured to solve, too alive to abandon. And then came the methodical test, grading every theory like engineers testing steel. To cut noise from fact, investigators used a rubric: physical trace, witness record, opportunity, contradictions, corroboration. Applied to every theory, it separated fantasy from evidence. For Madeleine McCann, the test revealed an ugly truth. No theory scored perfectly. Abduction fit patterns, but lacked trace. Domestic catastrophe explained anomalies, but failed the lab. Organized abduction made sense in cinema, not in court. The suspect hypothesis scored high on suspicion, but low on proof. The police investigation graded instead of guessed. But the more they scored, the more contradictions emerged. And soon, the timeline itself began to collapse under scrutiny.
Dinner rotation seemed predictable, but predictability is vulnerability. One misplaced minute is all a predator needs. From table to bed, 60 seconds at a brisk pace. That minute could shelter an entire abduction. Witness sketches described figures carrying children. Some fit, others blurred. None held in court. The timeline became elastic. Too tight for conspiracy, too loose for certainty. The police investigation reenacted routes endlessly. Forensic evidence tied to minutes was absent. The clock ticked, but the story bent. And then came the detail that split the case further: the window and shutters. The shutters, forced or untouched. Early police said one thing, later tests said another. The window, exit route or staging. Cadaver dogs alerted inside, yet lab results failed thresholds. Science warns, alerts are indicators, not proof. In the true crime imagination, these details loom large. In court, they shrink. For Madeleine McCann, they became battlegrounds. Were they signs of abduction or panic rewritten as staging? The police investigation treated them cautiously. Public debates raged louder than science. The shutters stayed ambiguous. The dog stayed haunting. Then investigators followed the digital trail, a phone ping in the night. A suspect's phone pinged near Praia de Luz. For many, that was enough. But cell pings cover wide radii. Innocence and guilt live inside the same circle. The police investigation treated it as both promise and frustration. In 2025, searches were retraced. Ground turned again. Still, no breakthrough. Forensic evidence needs precision. The phone offered halos. It was proof of proximity, not presence. Yet the coincidence was chilling. The ping coincided with Madeleine's disappearance. Was it damning coincidence or a shadow of guilt? The answer lay in what happened when Brückner left prison. September 2025. Brückner leaves prison. Ankle monitor, strict restrictions, barred from travel. But no charge for Madeleine McCann. The contradiction widened. If strong evidence exists, why no trial? If weak, why chains? Silence became its own headline. Germany called it murder. Britain clung to missing. The police investigation sat in limbo. Public opinion crowned him guilty. The law demanded proof. Forensic evidence didn't rise to the threshold. The corridor narrowed. Suspicion loud, proof silent. The cliffhanger? Was the world watching a man guilty but unproven, or innocent but condemned? The UK's Operation Grange survives in 2025. Smaller, but steady. Their tasks? Re-audit leads, retest samples, recheck witnesses. No drama, just discipline. The police investigation insists there are reasonable lines of inquiry. That persistence itself is data. Files don't stay open unless something breathes inside them. Audiences expect fireworks. Reality offers paperwork. But continuity is revolutionary in true crime. It means the door is not closed. Madeleine McCann's case still receives resources, still receives attention. The ember burns, but theories still compete, and the first is abduction by opportunist. A predator sees patterns. Parents rotate like clockwork. A gap appears, a door opens, a child vanishes. The opportunist theory is chillingly simple. It explains timing, geography, risk. The missing persons case fits the mold of opportunistic crime. But on forensic evidence, it fails. No trace, no prints, no residue. Predators are messy. This crime seems neat, too neat. The police investigation keeps it alive as baseline, but baseline is not breakthrough. If this is true, the abductor was lucky beyond measure. Yet another theory carried more gravity, the suspect-centered hypothesis. Christian Brückner lived in the Algarve. A predator's record, phone pings, vehicles, history. Suspicion is thick. The police investigation grades it high for opportunity, lifestyle, means. But again, forensic evidence fails. No DNA, no fiber, no object ties him to Madeleine. He denies all. Courts remain silent. The paradox, everything about him feels wrong, yet nothing sticks. Public imagines certainty. Investigators live in doubt. If he is guilty, why no proof? If innocent, why the shadows? The next theory pointed inward, domestic catastrophe. Some argue tragedy occurred inside, masked as abduction. Shutters, contradictions, dogs, all explained as staging. It is neat. Too neat. The police investigation explored it. They had to. But forensic evidence refused to confirm. Dogs alerted, but labs said no. Statements contradicted, but stress explains contradiction. It explains anomalies, but creates others. Without matter, the theory collapses. It thrives on speculation, not science. If not opportunist, not suspect, not domestic, what about organized abduction? The cinematic theory, networks, handlers, vehicles, ports, Madeleine stolen to order. It explains speed, silence, but forensic evidence is absent. Witnesses are anecdotal. Logistics collapse under scrutiny. The police investigation never fully embraced it, but could not dismiss it. It comforts audiences because it scales. Evil syndicates are easier to imagine than banal predators. But scale without residue is fiction. Crime leaves grease. This theory leaves none. So investigators return to absence itself, using what wasn't there to map what might be. Absence is data. No prints, no fibers, no camera hits. Each negative narrows the map. The police investigation trims possibilities with silence. Madeleine McCann is not anywhere. She is somewhere. Every ground search in 2025 is driven by absence maps, areas eliminated, perimeters redrawn. Absence is frustrating, but it reduces the field. The unsolved mystery endures because absence hasn't collapsed to presence. But contradictions still ruled the ledger. The ledger splits 3 ways: clues for intruder, clues for domestic, ambiguous noise. Dogs bark, shutters argue, pings blur. The police investigation grades each. None move columns cleanly. Forensic evidence could settle contradictions, but has not. Contradictions frustrate audiences. For detectives, they shape the next step. The ledger ends not in answers, but in stubborn questions. So the focus shifted back to matter. What survives when memory fails? Memory fades, performs, contradicts. Matter persists. Forensic evidence is the only anchor. Yet none has surfaced to close Madeleine's case. In 2025, searches sought small fragments, soil, fiber, DNA, that refused to degrade. Analysts worked in silence, hoping one trace could tilt the file. Matter is small, honest, patient. Without it, the case remains theory. But if matter stays silent, how do you tell a story still alive? 2025 feels like a door cracked open. Germany calls it murder. Britain, missing. Families endure. Operation Grange persists. The suspect lives restricted, neither guilty nor free. The police investigation accepts ambiguity. Public demands certainty. Madeleine McCann remains missing. The unsolved mystery breathes. The door is ajar, but chained. You can glimpse, not enter. And so we ask, what lies behind the final scene? Morning light enters the room. A toy still waits on the pillow. Madeleine McCann is still missing. This true crime story survives because clues refuse to agree. Forensic evidence hasn't spoken clearly. The family continues. The police investigation continues. The world continues asking. Closure hasn't come. Maybe it never will, but the question remains alive. What do you think happened that night? Which theory, opportunist, suspect, domestic, organized, fits? Comment below, because someone, somewhere, may hold the missing piece.